chapter 5, we're going to be doing chapter 6, and then we're going to be doing a second test in here. That's nothing to fear. You guys know what my tests are all about. They're mostly multiple choice, true and false, and you guys will know the material because you've been engaged in class. But here's a reminder for you guys. Your stock portfolios are due on the 9th. So guys, please make sure you're keeping up with that stuff. You know what, I just realized, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you, what's your good and bad cards? Any particular flavor? Just plain cheesecake. Why mess with perfection? So guys, we're going to be moving into we're going to be moving into chapter 6 next, which is all about management. Who are my management majors in here, by the way? No management. We got one management major in here. That's okay, because it's a great major, and it's something that always fits with other people as well, other majors, I should say. And I'm also reminding you guys, by the 5th, you have a very simple, easy 10 points telling me on a discussion board, what franchise would you start? But keep up, guys. Keep up with your stock game portfolios. We get to Easter, and all of a sudden we just crested the top of a hill, and brace yourself, because the month of April is going to fly by. You know what else is flying right now is Tesla. Does anybody know why Tesla has been in the news in the last 24 hours? Oh, this is a pretty big deal. I'm not going to even give you a lead in. I'm just going to show you the video and see what you thought. You were interested in Tesla. Any reactions to this? What do you think about this? What does this mean, by the way? Have any of you ever been with your parents when they were buying a car? Have you ever been in? Stefan, what's it like to buy a car?
Big process. You have to fill out some grants and stuff.
Is it?
You have to pay with like credit card stuff, and you have to make annual payments on the car.
It's a tremendous pain in the ass when it comes right down to it. It's a very long process. There's lots of forms to sign. It takes time to do. What this guy is basically saying, Mr. Musk is basically saying, is we're going to streamline this process, and we're going to make a completely digital transaction, not just to buy some software, not just to buy something from Amazon, but to buy a freaking car at this point. The other thing is pretty interesting. Elon Musk himself has been investing in Bitcoin. They have basically come out and said over the last 6 months that they are believers in Bitcoin. They're going to continue investing in it. Tesla as a company is investing in it. Did you catch, what are they going to do with the Bitcoin once you buy a Tesla from them? They're not going to convert it. They're going to keep it. Because they want to build a bigger presence. They want to build a bigger bank with Bitcoin. What could be some of the strategy here? Why are they doing this, guys? When a company like Tesla says not just ice cream cones or cookies, but you're going to be able to buy a car with Bitcoin, what does that do for Bitcoin? Yes?
People like believe in Bitcoin more, and the price goes up.
It makes it a more credible form of currency. It increases belief, and people are going to be thinking, maybe I should be investing in Bitcoin. If the hottest car maker in the United States is saying we're going to accept Bitcoin as payment, that's pretty legitimate for the currency. By the way, we're going to do this in a couple rounds of polls by show of your hands. How many of you have heard of the term cryptocurrency? Almost all of you. Who here can explain what cryptocurrency actually is? Because it's complicated. Who here can explain what crypto is? What is cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin? It's tough to explain, but I'm going to do my best. Basically, cryptocurrency is the idea. Let's see what regular currency is first. Right now, I'm putting $1 on the table, and anybody who can come up and tell me why that dollar is worth $1 gets the dollar. In fact, I'm going to even make it better. Let's see. I got a $5. The first person who can come up and tell me why that's worth $5 can have the $5. So why is it worth $5?
Because we say it is.
Come on up. Let's because who says it is?
Like people, society says it's worth $5.
Let's keep going. I'm thinking about a G word.
The government.
You got it. You got $5. Take that as a big deal, because I don't give away my money very easily. So very good. See, history favors the bold, by the way. Thank you for doing that. Guys, what it comes down to is exchanges. And the government and all these groups that work together determine what currency it's worth. Our government backs our currency, basically saying yes because we say so. We go against other countries and say, what's our currency worth to yours? What's your euro worth to our US dollar? Bitcoin is not bound by boundaries. Bitcoin is not bound by borders. Bitcoin is a global currency that operates independent of governments or individual exchanges. So if you're a government, are you excited or scared? You're scared. Maybe a little of both. If you're a country that does not have good currency, for example, if you go to Guinea, which is a country in West Africa, their economy is so bad that most people trade in US dollars. If you're Guinea, or if you're another country in West Africa that does not have a good exchange system, Bitcoin sounds pretty good to you because you can get into something that already has some sort of self-perpetuating worth. So the idea that a company like Tesla is saying, we're going to accept currency that is not backed by the US government, or for that matter, by any government. This isn't just big. This is seismic, guys. And what we're going to be seeing, and if we've gone back to 1973, I promise my rant will end after this. If we went back to 1973, prior to 1973, what backed every piece of U.S. currency? Gold. You got it. We no longer have a gold-backed system. So the money in the United States is not worth the paper it's printed on. It's worth it because it's backed by the government. Forms of currency that are outside of government control. This could lead to volatility, opportunity, and a lot of stress for a lot of people. Pretty interesting. Does anybody here own any crypto, by the way? I don't own any yet either, but I'm compelled to see where it's going to go. In fact, I think, depending on the time, we may end class with a little bit of a video about a country called Malta, which is one of the smallest countries in the world that has completely embraced cryptocurrency. And we're going to talk about why that's a big deal. It's actually a preview of what you might get in my e-commerce class. I think I might do that today, too. That being said, guys, we left off talking about a business model. And the business model is, how does your company make money? If Tonkin decides to open a pizza shop, how do I make money making pizza? What do you think, Grace? How do I make money making pizza? Well, how does a pizza shop work? We sell pizza. So I'm making pizza. So if I'm making pizzas, how do I make money selling pizza? We want to get people to come. How do I actually make money? Exactly right. I'm combining components and hopefully creating value and selling that pizza for more than I put into it. There's lots of companies right now who have business models that don't do this. But basically, we're going to talk about that in a second too, but it comes down to, how does your company make money? If you're a consultant, you're selling expertise. If you're a pizza maker, you're selling pizza. If you're Tesla, you're selling cars. So many of the big companies that operate in the United States today are yet to be profitable. By show of hands here, how many of you have ever taken an Uber or a Lyft? Okay, quite a few of us. You guys realize neither one of those companies has yet turned a profit. Amazon didn't make a profit for its first 10 years of existence. Companies sometimes have to take time to get it right. And as long as you have people who are propping you up, you can continue to do it. But you need to know your business model. What is your business model? How do you make money? That's part of your business plan. Your business model, write this down. Your business model is how you actually make money. It is part of your larger business plan. It includes things like marketing. It includes how you're going to set up your business. Are you going to be a corporation? Are you going to be a partnership? Are you going to be a sole proprietorship? But your model is how you make money. If you're Nike, you make shoes. You sell them at a profit. If you're Spotify, you sell subscriptions. If you are Netflix, you sell subscriptions. If you are Kent Tonkin's Pizza Shop and Chicken Emporium, you make quality pizza and chicken and sell them at a profit. Our pizza is better than our chicken. Guys, when it comes down to it, these are all parts of your business plan. These are things that you would have to have. Your executive summary, if you're trying to pitch somebody in your business, that says in 10 seconds or less, what is your company all about? Your vision and your mission statement talk about your values. Your company overview says how your company is set up. Your product or service plan says exactly what are you selling. For Nike, we're selling shoes. And for Apple, we're selling phones. Does Apple, by the way, do they sell goods or services? They sell both. Exactly right. If you're using their backup services, if you're using any of the products and services, you're using both. Your marketing plan, how you're going to position your company, your management plan. Are you going to have a wide or tall organization? Here's an example, guys. We'll talk more about this in the next layer of things. But let's say, for example, if let's see, who's my boss here? Stefan's my boss. If I got to go through 2 supervisors to get to him, we have a very tall organization. And on the other hand, if Parker's my boss, I can go right over to him. We have a flat organization. So layers of management. Operating plan. How many factories do we need to have? How big does our company need to be? Are we going to buy stuff from other companies, suppliers? We're going to make it ourselves. And finally, our financial plan. How big of a profit margin do we plan on having? Who has a bigger profit margin per vehicle? I mentioned this last time. Is it Ford or BMW? BMW has a bigger profit per vehicle, generally speaking. Check this out, guys. How many of you have ever had the fortune, good fortune or bad fortune, depending on what year it was made, of riding in a Chevy Cavalier or a Chevy Cobalt? Yeah, there's Chevy's small car. You guys know that for every 2 Cobalts that Chevy sold, they had to sell a Silverado pickup to make up for the loss. Chevy sold Cobalts and Cavaliers at a loss. Why would they do that? Why would you sell a car that you know you're losing money on? They weren't bad cars. I mean, they're perfectly acceptable American cars. Why would you do that, guys? What could be a compelling reason why? How many of you go to Sam's Club with your parents ever? If you walk around Sam's Club and it's not COVID, what do they have all over the store for free? Oh, yeah, sample day. I hate going shopping, but my wife, she takes me there. It's like, oh, sample sausage, sample whatever nachos are out there, sample whatever. Why do they give you free samples? Yeah, exactly right. This sausage is freaking awesome. We got to buy this. I got to take this home. Well, it's the same with the Cavalier. If we get you in the family and you buy that $12,000 Cavalier, maybe you'll be back for the $45,000 Silverado. And again, that could be part of our operating and financial plan. And the appendix of supporting documents means for all the stuff you put together, you need some documentation. We're not building a business plan in here. We're not even building a business model, but it's important that you know what these things are, because guess what? But we're going to do a couple more shows of hands, because you guys need to move a little bit here today. When I say your major, I want you to raise your hand. Accounting, finance, marketing, management, computer science, MIS, brain surgery. No, there's no brain surgeons in here, so hopefully nothing bad happens to my brain today. But all of these things tie into the supporting documents because you're going to help make those things. If you want to finance your company, there's lots of ways to make money. For example, Steve Jobs borrowed money from his dad and sold his van. We know that. We talked about that. Jeff Bezos, by the way, was not a poor man. Jeff Bezos came from a good money family, and he borrowed money from his family to start Amazon. Great. So friends and family often are the first investors. Remember we were talking about Damon John. What was Damon John's first big company? It was FUBU, and he did that himself. He was literally sewing shirts in his mom's house. And so they were getting loans as personal financing. And then you get into traditional financing. We're going to go to the bank and ask for a loan. If I say equity, equity also ties in with the type of security that begins with an S. What type of security am I talking about? Stocks! That's it, yes! I thought I was going to have a stroke there for a second. I don't know what's happening here. Anytime somebody invests in your company and they have some control over it, it's equity, because we can control companies because we own shares of stock. That's equity financing. If we take a loan, that's debt financing. Venture capitalists. Oh, yeah, Shark Tank. How many of you have seen Shark Tank? Well, what happens in Shark Tank? Go ahead, tell me.
People come pitch their ideas, and the sharks decide whether or not they want to invest in it or not.
Oh, they do. But let's say, for example, you're one of the sharks. And I've just pitched Kent Tompkins Chicken Shack and Pizza Emporium. You think it's a great idea, and you're going to want a stake in it. What do you want in terms of that stake? Like, what is your ultimate goal? Is it just to give me the money, or is it something else?
Percentage of ownership.
Exactly right. A venture capitalist just doesn't want to give you money. A venture capitalist wants something in return. They want control. An angel investor, on the other hand, is somebody who just loves your idea so much. You know what, Tonkin, your chicken shack and pizza emporium is going to make Loretto a better place. I'm going to give you a low or zero interest loan, pay it back, and we're good. So that's the difference between the two. Venture capitalists want something in return. Angel investors really don't. And then we get into crowdfunding. Guys, crowdfunding is a form of equity investing. I'm going to give you an example of crowdfunding before I show you a nice little video clip about it, because I think this is something you guys are going to see more of in your lives. Guys, check this out. How many of you have ever been in my office? What if you had to say to somebody, Tonkin's office is absolutely full of, what would you say? It's full of Batman. Yes, it is. I am 48 years old as of this week, and yes, I own more action figures than most 8-year-old boys. And you know what? It's still cheaper than smoking. That's what I tell my wife all the time when she sees yet another package coming from Amazon. There's this whole part of America of guys my age who grew up with superheroes who have never gotten past it. Well, a couple months ago, this guy named Todd McFarlane, who had a really, really popular comic book back in the 1990s called Spawn. They made some movies. It's going to be a big thing again. But anyway, it was big for people my age. He came out with a crowdfunding campaign, and he said, you know what, I want to make a new action figure based on this property, but I don't have the startup capital to do it. If you will pay for it in advance, we'll raise enough funding so we can all have our own Spawn action figure. He was trying to raise $500,000. He ended up raising $3 million. That's how many people like me are out there. So we got to be a part of the process of getting something made that we wanted. That is what crowdfunding is all about. People think about GoFundMe. When I say GoFundMe, what's the first thing people think of? When do you set up a GoFundMe for somebody? Oh, you guys surely have heard of GoFundMe. When there's a house fire, when somebody's family member dies, you set up a charity campaign. That's this much of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a bigger deal because it's the idea that you, the consumer, can tell people what you want them to make. So sit back for a second and enjoy this video. There's a primary way of equity influx into a company. When you want to use equity to finance your company, you do what? It's the S word again. What am I talking about? The blank market? The stock market. Guys, I want you to say it with me again. When I say equity, you say? Stock. When I say equity, you say? Stock. When I say equity, you say? Stock. There we go. I'm serious. I want you guys to have that in your brain. Here's the trick about equity, though, guys. This is so important. I'm going to stand up when I say this. This will maybe get your attention here. All right, guys. Seriously, look at me! Look at me! No, I'm kidding. That was a line from the Dark Knight. You remember that? When he's like, hey, what's going on? Look at me. I got you to look at me, though. All right, guys. Here's what I want to tell you about. So that's why I'm on my soapbox up here. Guys, is it easy to get on a stock exchange? No, it's freaking hard. It's hard to get on a stock exchange, guys, because you got to have lots of money. You got to be able to file for an IPO. You got to go through the Securities and Exchange Commission to be able to get permission to do it. Do you need any of that stuff to do crowdfunding? Do you need that? Do you need all of that stuff to do crowdfunding?
No.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. And that hurts more when you're 48. Let me tell you that. You don't need any of that to get into crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is a way for small entrepreneurs to get into equity investing without having to be on the effing stock market. That's why it's so important. So crowdfunding is going to be a big deal. They even have legislation to be able to support it. Guys, let's continue here. We talk about buying a business. How many of you hope eventually to take over the family business? How many hands we got for that? Yes, it's a great thing, guys. It can be great to buy from family and friends. It can also be terrible to buy from family and friends. The great part about working with family is you're working with family. The bad part about working with family is you're working with family. It's the same deal as working with your spouse. You know the best part about working with your spouse? From the moment you get up, you see them all day long. You know what the worst part about working with your spouse is? From the moment you get up, you see them all day long. So that's the deal when you're buying a family business. You also have to ask this question when you are buying a business from somebody else. Why do people sell used cars? Generally speaking, if you got a paid-for car, why are you going to sell it? Why might you sell it? Yes? Either you got no use for it, or could it be something even worse? It's broken. We dump cars before they're ready to die, and people sometimes do that with businesses as well. That's the stuff you got to watch out for, my friends. Why do businesses fail? I mentioned this earlier, guys, in the semester. What is the number one reason that businesses fail? Who am I counting, folks, in here? Oh, don't be afraid. Why do they fail?
Are you really 48?
What's that?
Are you really 48?
I still didn't hear you yet.
Are you really 48?
Yeah, I'm really 48. How old did you go? You just got in class, so you're free to go anytime. So, you're free to go anytime. You just made my day. Wow. It totally blew my mind there. But why do businesses fail, guys? What's the number one reason? Yes?
They can't make a profit.
They can't make a profit? That's so close. It's so close. It's something even a bigger deal to an accountant. What do accountants do this time of year? What is the big deal with accountants this time of year? Taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, that stuff adds up, and over time, somebody comes to get you because you didn't pay your taxes. About half of all businesses fail in 5 years. That's a flip of the coin. You might make it, you might not. Sometimes the economy goes to hell, like we had in the last year. If you're in a restaurant business, you've had a bad year. If you're in customer service, you've had a bad year. If you're in a supermarket, you've had a pretty good year. And if you do mail order, you've had a great year. So the economy affects you too. What about your financial issues? For example, this is a good one. This is a two-part question, guys. How many of you in your lives have ever gone to Blockbuster Video? Does anybody know how many Blockbusters are left in the country? There's one. Do you know where it is? It's in Oregon. Why did Blockbuster fail, by the way? Yes? Here's the funny part. That would have been my first answer, too, because you know the Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix and passed. How'd you like to be the person who made that decision? Here's what ultimately killed Blockbuster. It wasn't just Netflix. What happened was Blockbuster was a very profitable franchise. They got bought up by another company who took all their cash and threw it into other places where they were suffering debt. And all of a sudden, when we had the financial downturn of 2008, they had no way to refinance their debt and they had no way to reinvest in the company. You know what else killed Blockbuster? When we used to rent videos, why did everybody try to get them back right on time? Deasia, why would you get your video back on time? If you didn't get back on time, what would happen? What would they charge you? They charge you a late fee. Blockbuster eliminated late fees. So all of a sudden, you know what people started doing? Keeping the movies. What a dumb move, right? What a dumb move. So all that stuff can factor into financial issues. Then you got lack of experience. Somebody doesn't know what they're doing. And finally, somebody just decides, I'm done with this business. I want out. And for a personal reason, decides either to quit the business or just move out in general. All of these, guys, are reasons why businesses failed. So we're going to continue, though. I need a breather before this next slide. I don't know why I'm so fired up today. I need a question or a comment from somewhere in the room today. If you have a question or comment for me, what might you like to ask? We already had the question about my age, which made my day. What else would you like to ask today? Yes, ma'am.
What do you want for your birthday?
Well, my birthday was back on Monday, and all I wanted for my birthday was a nice night with my wife and my dog, and I got it. She made pizza with an outdoor pizza oven, first try. It was a terrible, abysmal failure, and I ate it anyway and said it was wonderful, because that's what you do. What do you want for your birthday? When is your birthday, by the way?
My birthday's in August.
And what do you want for your birthday? You got lots of time to think about it, though.
I'll be 22 this year, so all the 21 fun's over.
And it sucks because you turned 21 during a pandemic, so you get a do-over.
Yeah,
You get a do-over.
I'll redo that.
You get a do-over. All right, guys. So what are other things that we can do when the economy changes? We can pivot. We can change to a new model. Actually, Netflix is a great example of that. Netflix used to mail you DVDs. And guys, how about ghost restaurants? That's a great way to pivot to a new model. You might use a consultant. Somebody can come in and say, hey, look, you're not taking enough money out for taxes. You can hire an accountant, or you can hire somebody even to do restaurant rehab, for example. You can hire people if you need the expertise or you need extra hands. Businesses do just as poorly by not expanding sometimes as they do by over-expanding. We got this thing called the Small Business Administration. We got one right up on campus. And the Small Business Administration, through the Small Business Development Center, will give you free consulting. Literally, anybody in this room that wants to start a business here at St. Francis will help you start it. You get somebody who's retired, an old executive who will come in and tell you what worked and what didn't. Emerging markets means there might be new places for you to make money. Guys, who would have thought 10 years ago that we have Uber and Lyft and ghost restaurants? And I think it's always a great idea to start while you're here. We have ways you can learn how to grow a business while you're in school here. I don't care what your major is. We got an investment club. Do we have any members of the investment club here? We literally bought shares of Apple in the 80s. We've got tens of thousands of dollars that you students can manage if you're interested. We got an Actis, which is our small business club, which I co-advise. We have lots of opportunities for this kind of thing. So guys, we need a final question for today before I take us into a video that's going to lead us out. We need one more question or comment from the day. We had a great question from over here, but let's go. Michael, go for it.
I was going to say, if you were on Shark Tank, what kind of idea would you like propose to them?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't honestly know. Most of my business ideas tend to be on the nonprofit side, so the things that they typically wouldn't be interested in. I had one idea, and it's really weird. I'll try to explain it. I hope it makes sense. Have you guys ever seen a bass guitar? Okay, here's the way a bass guitar works. The strings come across this thing on the bottom called a bridge, and the bridge is where they meet the body. What happens is most people today play what's called a 5-string bass. That's what I mainly play as a 5-string. But when you're playing slap, it doesn't make any sense to hit the low B. And the low B just gets in the way. And I wish there was a latch where I could mute the lowest string without having to mute the other 4 strings so I could still play slap bass without hitting that string. But I don't think they'd invest in it. You know what they say? There aren't enough bass players out there, and they're probably right. But I'd pitch it. Do you have an idea that you would pitch?
Yeah. Mine would be lock rock. It's like a rock, but it's a lock. You put your key, it's a fake rock, you put your key in it, and it has like a lock on it. So like, it's a combination. So like, I know people put their keys under doormats and hide it. I was like, so put it in like a rock, and then you can just put your key in it, and like it's locked.
I love that idea. I'd buy a lock rock. Seriously, that's a great idea. So, well guys, that is our last slide for the chapter. We're going to review the chapter on Friday, but we're not done yet. Guys, I was talking a little today about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And this is